here are the top 5 insanely cool and powerful things from the new D&D book, Strixhaven. 1. Silvery Barbs. Okay, so people are losing their frickin' minds over this new spell, and fair enough, it is extremely strong. Let's break it down. As a reaction, when a creature within 60 feet of you succeeds on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you force it to roll a new d20 and use that new roll, potentially causing it to fail. Then you choose another creature within range and give that creature advantage on its next saving throw, ability check, or attack roll. So at first glance, this looks good, but not great. You're forcing a creature to re-roll 1 die, and then you're giving inspiration to another player for 1 minute. However, if you dig beneath the surface, this spell is actually insane. Firstly, this is a reaction spell, which means you can cast it on the same turn you cast another really powerful spell, like Dominate Person. If your enemy succeeds, you simply use your reaction to make them roll again, and potentially fail. This is a lot like the Sorcerer's Metamagic option Heightened Spell, which forces disadvantage on any saving throw against a spell thrown at someone. However, this is actually better than that for a few reasons. First of all, you don't need to use this at all if your opponent fails on the first try, where with Heightened Spell, you have to use it in advance, and potentially waste it if your opponent fails on their first roll. Secondly, this is a first level spell, which is the equivalent of only 2 sorcery points, and it also means that anyone can grab this via the Magic Initiate feat, or another feat that we'll talk about in a minute. Thirdly, it overrides a creature's advantage, so if you're fighting, say, a Mind Flayer with the Magical Resistance trait, they would typically get advantage on saves against spells. However, Silvery Barbs says if they would succeed, they roll 1d20 and take the lower roll, potentially causing them to fail and basically cancelling out every roll that came before. And then, of course, it also gives you or someone else in range advantage on your next roll. So there's been a lot of people saying this is broken and it's gonna ruin the game, and yeah, I agree, it is definitely overpowered. People don't like it when a new thing comes along that makes an old thing effectively pointless. The theory is, why would you ever take the Heightened Spell Metamagic when you have access to Silvery Barbs? And honestly, it's a fair point. I mean, the 2 abilities do stack if you want to really spec into making sure your suck or save spells suck, but even so, this kind of takes away a little bit of what made Sorcerers good, and it takes away a lot of what made Heightened Spell good. Still, it's not quite as strong as some people are claiming. It's not very good against groups of enemies, and it's a lot worse than Shield defensively. It's only really good for forcing enemies to re-roll their saving throws. And remember, a re-roll isn't the same as a loss. There is a good chance this spell could just do nothing. Finally, it's not all that great early in the game. It only really comes online around level 7 to 9 when you start getting those big, powerful suck or save spells. I forgot to mention this yesterday, but it's also really good against crits, because it turns the chance of getting crit from 1 in 20 to 1 in 400. So if you ever crit, just roll this and turn that critical hit into a probable miss. Anyway, Silvery Barbs is either going to dominate as one of the premier spells in the game, or it's going to get an errata to raise it to 2nd or 3rd level, or it's going to get changed to not work on enemy saving throws. Any of those changes would swap it from being totally broken to just really, really good. So enjoy playing it before it gets changed or banned. 2. Owlin. So Owlin are the new race from Strixhaven, and they're strong because they've got the strongest racial ability in the game, Flight. Honestly, Flight is so strong that you could just make a race, give it 30-foot flying speed and nothing else, and it would still be totally great. Which is a good thing, because that's basically what they did here. Owlin are humanoid with a size small or medium and a walking speed of 30 feet. There was a time when wizards would give every small race a 25-foot walking speed, but they seem to have moved on from that, thankfully. Then Owlin get Dark Vision, which is a fantastic ability and sets them apart from other flying races like Aarakocra and Fairies. However, while we're comparing races, Winged Tieflings get Dark Vision and they can fly while wearing medium or light armor, whereas Owlin can only fly with light armor. Finally, Owlin get proficiency in stealth thanks to their owl feathers, which is, you know, pretty nice. Stealth is a good ability, and I'll take every proficiency I can get. All in, Owlin might be the weakest of the flying races, but they're still insanely strong because Flight is insanely strong. However, they do have a niche, and that is that they can fly, have dark vision, and have an ability score increase of +2 in any stats, and +1 in any other stats, or +1 in any 3 different stats. If you're playing a class that wants to split up those ability score increases and get as many stat boosts as possible, then Owlin are probably a better choice than Winged Tiefling. Variant Tieflings only get a +2 to Charisma, or any other stats if you're using Custom Origin. So the Owlin are basically trading in the fire resistance and the ability to fly in heavy armor for an additional +1 in any stats and more options when arranging your stats, and also a proficiency in stealth. With all this in mind, Owlin make great wizards, sorcerers, warlocks, rogues, barbarians, and monks. I mean, just look at this guy on the front cover. He knows he's good. Look at that fucking face. But enough about owls. Now we get to the most broken thing in the entire of Strixhaven. Yes, way more powerful than the broken spell or the flying assassinator. The thing that pretty much every DM is going to have to ban. But first, a sketch, brought to you by Dungeon Fog.
Hey everyone, this is like the 3rd time I'm recording this. I just wanted to say I'm really sorry, and that I was in a really dark place, and that I'm only human.
Hey Shorts, how's it going?
Oh, damn it, Jack, I'm recording my apology video. I didn't have time to make any D&D maps this week. I'm gonna need to put on my fake tears again.
Whoa, don't apologize. Just use Dungeon Fog. You can create a map in 10 minutes, populated with buildings and terrain and lighting and everything.
Well, sure, that sounds good, but I don't have £1 million to spend on making maps each month, Jack.
You don't need to. You can start for free, and if you like it, you can sign up for unlimited access with code D&D Shorts to get 10% off. You can even share and use maps from the entire Dungeon Fog community.
Wow, okay, yeah. Sounds amazing. I'll just do that.
Just one thing. Why are you holding a sloth?
Oh, this little guy? He's there to make me look more sympathetic for the apology video. He's my familiar.
And why the bra?
Oh, you can see that. It's for the same reason that I said. It's for the video, for the apology video. Yay, Dungeon Fog!
Get creating right now by following the link below and use code D&D Shorts to get a 10% discount when you sign up with Dungeon Fog for all your map making needs. 3. Student backgrounds. Okay, so backgrounds in D&D usually don't get too much attention. They give you some roleplay pointers and a couple of skills and proficiencies. But in Strixhaven, damn, I don't even know how to describe this. If you imagine every background so far was a sword, the Strixhaven backgrounds are a fucking Death Star. They are so strong. Firstly, they give you a free feat, Strixhaven Initiate. Yeah, a free feat, not from your race, from your background choice. And the feat is really good, but we'll talk about it more in a second, because you get a lot more from the Strixhaven background. You also get to choose any one of the 5 Strixhaven colleges, and you just get a bunch of spells added to your spell list. And they're good spells, too. I'll put them up on screen, but my god, any player looking to optimize their character basically has to take this feat. It's just so many options and opportunities for free. I mean, I can see why Strixhaven is a popular university. I mean, damn. And it's also important to note that at least by the rules, you don't need to have attended Strixhaven to have one of these backgrounds. They are backgrounds that come from a life of study for higher academia, as clarified in the rules text. But wait, there's more! You also get a couple of proficiencies and a couple of languages thrown in as well. Even non-spellcasters, who are wasting half of this background because they can't use any of the free spells, would still take it every time because of that free feat. So, what is the feat, anyway? 4. Strixhaven Initiate. So, Strixhaven Initiate works a lot like the feat Magic Initiate, only with a few extra steps. You choose one of the 5 colleges, the same one you took as your background if you got this feat for free, and you learn 2 cantrips and 1 first-level spell associated with that college. I'll pop up the list of spells you can get on screen as we talk about the feat. Basically, the advantage this has over Magic Initiate, aside from the fact that it's fucking free, is that you get a wider range of options when choosing your cantrips and first-level spells. Magic Initiate grabs you 2 cantrips and 1 spell from any one class, like say Wizard, but Strixhaven Initiate lets you pick up 2 cantrips from a list of 3 and any 1 first-level spell from 2 classes. This makes it slightly better than Magic Initiate, in my opinion. For example, it's now possible to grab Guidance, which is probably the best cantrip to get, and Find Familiar, which is probably the best first level spell to get. But on the subject of Find Familiar, you might not actually want to take it here, because there is another benefit to Strixhaven Initiate, and it's my favorite thing about the entire of the Strixhaven book. 5. Strixhaven Mascot. So Strixhaven Mascot is a feat you can only take at 4th level or higher, and you have to have the Strixhaven Initiate feat as well. It lets you cast Find Familiar, and even gives it a buff, allowing your familiar to take the form of your college's mascot. All of these options are really cool, and I want to make a video going over all of them in detail and ranking them. But here, briefly, is what they all do. Lorehold get a medium-sized spirit statue familiar with good hit points and AC for a familiar, and an ability sort of like Guidance that they can use twice per day. Prismari get an art elemental mascot with a charm effect, which is okay, it's a low DC, but it's free, a ranged attack option, and a cool explosive blinding effect, which hits everyone within 5 feet of the familiar when it dies, which I assume means is reduced to 0 hit points and disappears. Quandrix get the Fractal Mascot, which starts small, but can use its bonus action to increase or reduce its size up to huge or down to 1 foot tall. It can also pass through objects and people as if they were difficult terrain. Silverquill get an Inkling Mascot, a small creature with a fly speed of 30 feet, blind sight of 60 feet, and an ink spray attack that can blind one enemy. They also get the ability to move through a space as small as 1 inch without squeezing. Finally, Witherbloom get the Pest Mascot, an adorably horrifying creature that regenerates 5 hit points at the start of its turn. It also deals 1d4 piercing damage to any creature that is grappling it or it is grappling each turn. Those are all the familiar options. It's just a shame you only get to pick one and it's tied to your college, but there's still more to this feat. You also get to trade off one of your attacks per turn to make an attack with the familiar, which is pretty meh, but it's nice to have the option. More importantly, you can, as an action if your familiar is within 60 feet, teleport to its location and swap places with it. You can do this only 1 time per short rest unless you expend a 2nd level spell slot to do it again. This is just some really good utility, allowing you to reach places you otherwise wouldn't be able to, go through locked doors, or even solid walls if you have the Fractal Mascot. If you pick this up at level 4 after getting Strixhaven Initiate for free at level 1, either with a background or as part of a race that gives you a free feat, this is going to feel incredibly powerful and also give you loads of roleplay opportunities. But what's your favorite thing from Strixhaven? Will you ban Silvery Barbs or the Strixhaven background in your games? Let me know what you think, remember to like and subscribe, and check out other videos on the channel. Bye!